Hey there, hi there, ho there. It is, what is it? It is Tuesday, the February 22nd at about 11 o'clock in the morning. And I am here with you to talk not about what you originally saw in the little video card there. This is Docusign. I put up the wrong graphic when I started it. So we're in Docusign. Docusign is at 11. Command 101 is at 1 o'clock. So you would think I would know that because I pretty much do this every week. But what are you going to do? Docusign is now. Command 101 is at 1. So hopefully I didn't confuse you guys too much. Welcome, Heather. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I don't know if
Okay.
I'm oh,
You're there.
I'm on.
Well, we're going to be talking about, like I said, we're going to go over DocuSign. Hi, Wednesday. DocuSign, and we're going to be talking today specifically. I've got some exciting stuff. We're going to be talking about splitting and combining documents, PDFs specifically, and because forms are themselves. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So we're going to split and combine PDFs, and we're going to do it in two places. We're going to do it in Command, and we're going to do it in DocuSign. Now, you may not know this, but Command about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I'm being kind of vague there, um, released the ability in Command to do this, splitting documents. So I think that's pretty cool that they added that in there. We have previously been doing it exclusively in DocuSign, but we can do it there now. And we're also going to try and squeeze in. I say this every time because it's actually a little bit involved, and I try to do it. Sometimes I'm not able to get to it, but today I'm going to try talking about in-person signing. So what that means is for those of you who want to take a computer, a digital signature, you want to capture a digital signature, but maybe the people that you're working with aren't technically savvy and they don't know how to use DocuSign or they don't want to use DocuSign, but you want to capture their signatures electronically as opposed to using a wet signature. Which, when you think about it, a lot of people say, well, why are you doing an in-person digital signing? Why don't you just print out the document? Well, printing out the document requires papers, and sometimes papers get mixed up in which one's which. So using an electronic signature is a great way to organize that and keep it squared. So we're going to be showing you all of that goodness today. So I'm going to start off with all of you who are on Zoom. You're now going to see my computer there, and all of you who are on Facebook are already seeing the screen there. So here we are. We're going to log into Command, and you'll notice that I start by logging into Command. I always do. I always show you the path to get to working with your documents in DocuSign. And it takes me a minute, but I think it's worth it every single time to reiterate the process with creating a DocuSign room so that we can do anything we need to do in DocuSign. Yes, you can sign into DocuSign separately, but I like to show this path because it's important. So we're going to create an opportunity, and we always go to the contact in Command to create that opportunity. We never go to the opportunities area. We don't go there. We go to the contact. So we're looking for the contact that we're going to working with today. So we're going to work with Jackie Astuto. And all I did was I searched for that contact. And in that did not find my contact. That found somebody else. There's Jackie. So here we are in the contact, and we always go to the opportunities section or the opportunities tab within the contact, and we click create opportunity. To create the opportunity, we're going to make sure that the client name is visible here. And right above that, we're going to select the opportunity type. And immediately we get down here in the opportunity name, we get the name of the client and we get the type of opportunity. And all we need to do is add in the property address. In this case, a listing property address, 123 Main Street. If you guys were on the quick start this morning, or if you haven't had a chance to look at that, it's in the Facebook feed. We talked with Tristan Andrews Preston, and we talked with the MCAs here at Market Center 463. And we talked about this opportunity name. You need to put the property address in the opportunity name so that everybody can track this thing. And when you add the person's name, the listing, in this case, the type, and the property address, I guarantee you'll find that everybody will love you a little bit more. So it's always this: the who, the what, and the where. There you go. That's your opportunity name. There's your tip for the day. I'll put the commission rate in here, and we'll go ahead and click create. So we have our opportunity, and now we're going to jump into that opportunity so that we can get to the document area so that I can show you some cool things about splitting and combining. So on the the opportunity details tab, I'm going to select from the listings the actual opportunity that we're going to be, select the listing that for the property that we're going to be working with, and I'll choose all. And there's my 123 Main Street. Now I'm going quickly through here, but remember, this information we go over in the other classes, but I'm always using this same process to create my opportunities. The person, create the opportunity, add the listing if it's a listing, and then we go to the Documents tab. And why is that? Because all of that goodness that we just did is going to load up into the documents inside of Docusign for us. That's the whole main purpose. So now that I've done that and I'm on my Documents tab within Command for the opportunity that I've got, here's that Jackie Studio with the 123 Main Street. That's going to be the name of the room that is created in Docusign. I've pulled the checklist for a New Hampshire checklist because that's the documents that I'm going to need for this one. So I'm good to go. And I'll come over to the right-hand side and I'll choose Start a Transaction. That's the key here, is that Start a Transaction button is how we create the Docusign room. So we don't create the Docusign room in Docusign. We don't do that. We create it here because this binds those two things together, a command and the opportunity and Docusign in the room, and they are linked, and you can always get back and forth between them by doing that. So I'll create the Docusign room. I haven't been into Docusign today, so it's going to ask me to log in, which I am going to do here. And once I am logged in, now I am in the room that is the room for this transaction, and I can see that up here. Jackie Studio Listings 123 Main Street, Epping, New Hampshire. And I can come over here and switch between my thumbnail views or my list views. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to thumbnail view for a moment. And because we are going to be talking about splitting and combining, we do not need forms. Say what? I thought that's what the whole point of this was. Well, splitting and combining documents has nothing to do with Docusign forms. So a Docusign form, remember, is a form, a templatized form that you fill out in Docusign. This is the blank form that you start with. This is not the filled out version that you need to split, because you can't split the template, the form itself. That's not something you can do. You also can't combine these because they are individual templates that have their own properties that are not documents. So they're not the same as documents. So how do we use this split and combine feature? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all the forms in the room. And I'm going to clean out the room so that there's nothing in here. And the reason is because I'm going to import some PDFs. And in my case specifically, I'm going to import one PDF. And this PDF I made prior to this class. It would be the equivalent if you had gone to have someone physically sign something or somebody printed out multiple documents, and then they scanned those multiple documents and sent them to you via email. So when they do that, they're combined. They've been combined. They scanned them at once, and you need to pull them apart. So let's look at this scanned document. It's a PDF. I'm going to open it up, and inside the view here, I'm going to switch to multiple page view inside of the viewer for the document area. And you can see I've got a wire fraud alert, an escrow policy. I've got a residential rental services form here, which is actually multiple pages. And then I've got below that the escrow check request. So just random documents here. I wasn't specific on what I chose, but you can see that 1, 2, I think it's 3 and 4. So there's 4 documents that were all scanned together into one PDF. Now I can look at each individual page and look at them one at a time here and scroll through, and you can see there's the pages right there. And as I go through, you can see that there's no breaks between them. They're all in one. This document, or this scanned document, is what we're going to pull apart. So we're going to start pulling it apart in Docusign. And then we're going to go to Command, and we're going to do the same thing as if we had put a document into Command instead of using Docusign to do it, which is, sometimes it's the case where you stick it in Command and you want to split it and you're like, oh, where do I split it? How do I do it? So we'll do it over there. But for now, we're going to start by doing it in this document here. So to do this, I'm going to open that document back up. Remember, this is the combined document. And there is a document actions button when I'm looking at the document in the viewer inside of Docusign. And there's a document actions button. It looks like a little dog-eared page there. And when I click on that little dog-eared page, I get a menu of options. And the third one down is split. There you go. So it took me a few minutes to get here just to get to the real meat of what I'm teaching you here today. But understanding what these things are makes it a lot easier. So now we'll go down to the third option here and we'll choose split. So Docusign opens up a different kind of interface for us. And it opens up an interface where I can hover over each of the documents and it automatically does this. By the way, I'm not clicking on anything to do it. Sometimes I feel it's kind of annoying that it zooms in before you ask it to zoom in, but whatever. So you can zoom in by just hovering your mouse over. And the purpose of this is so that you can see things like page 1 of 1, page 2 of 2 in the corners, or you can verify that the name of the document is the same across all the pages that you're going to split. So this is showing us that we have 8 pages in this combined document, and we're going to split it apart. To do so, we go to the left-hand side where it says PDF split. And the first thing, in order to split it, we need to give each of the split documents a name. So I'm going to say that the first document is Wire Fraud Alert. Fraud, F-R-A-U-D-A-L-A-R. Okay, so we'll take that and we'll go ahead and type that in there into the name of the document. Now we know that that's only one page. So I'm going to come over to the pages, or what pages represent the Wire Fraud Alert. I'm just going to put a 1 in there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit tab to commit that 1. And you see that it turns blue. So in the window here, Wire Fraud Alert is designated as the first page in the document. So I can click the button for adding a second document here. And I know that the second document is the escrow wire policy. So I'll come in here and type in escrow wire policy. And when I do that, it's going to ask me, well, what pages does that represent? And it's only one page, so I'll put a 2 in there and I'll hit enter. And I now see that I have for the Wire Fraud Alert, there's the blue highlight. For the escrow wire policy, I have page 2. And now on the third document, we're going to say that this is the residential rental services. So add document, residential, if I can spell it, rental services. Okay. And that one has multiple pages. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I can do is I could put page 3, 4, 5, or I could just do 3 through 7. And it says, okay, 3 through 7, because I can see the numbers. I see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can do 3 through 7. And now that document has been designated. And then the final document is for the escrow check request. So I'll put in escrow check request. And same thing, I know that that's just page 8. So now I've accounted for all of the pages in the document. And to verify it, I can click in each of the names that I've created, and it will show me highlighting the document, showing me those pages. Now that I've done that, now remember, when we were back in the documents area, we had 1 document. We are about to have 4 documents, not 5, because this document that we started with is going to disappear because it's going to be split into 4 documents. We don't retain the original document. The original document with 5 scans in it is going to be split, so it's gone. So when I click save, it'll take a moment here for it to do it. It didn't, and it made me a liar, didn't it? It kept the original. It did. I lied. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Just forget that he was there. So we'll just rewind that. So we have our original, and we have the escrow check request, escrow wire policy, residential rental services, and the wire fraud alert. One of the things that we want to pay attention to is the names that we give the documents. Because back in Command, I'm going to go back to my tab in Command here. Remember, each of the documents that are required in Command have a specific name. And the document names are at the top of those forms that we did. So the wire fraud alert, the property disclosure. Make sure that you give your split documents the correct name so that when you are pulling these documents that are signed, we'll assume for a moment that these are signed. They're actually not, but you get the idea. When you pull these documents into Command, you can find them. So now that we've named them correctly, and you might even want to put in, escrow check request signed, escrow wire policy signed, give that the name. So that when you come back to Command and you're looking for the escrow check, or in this case, I'll do something real simple here. We'll say the KWCLM wire fraud alert. In order to pull it, you know what the name is. Now, I want to talk about a moment, kind of inject some information in here so that it's clear what you're doing in Command versus what you're doing in Docusign. Now, in Docusign, when we put these documents in here, we didn't organize them into folders or hierarchy. We just put them into the main part of the room here. But what you don't know right out of the gate is there's actually a folder in this Docusign room called Room Docs. And there's always that folder. You can't get rid of it. This Room Docs folder, by default, is where everything goes. It's like the root level on your computer. That's where everything goes. But one of the things that you can do is you can add folders for organization in Docusign. Now, I'm not going to get into that now because I don't want to kind of muddy the water. But remember this, there is always the root folder of Room Docs in Docusign. And because of that, and because you're allowed to organize your documents in Docusign in the way that best suits the way you work, when you're in Command, in order for you to upload files to Command from Docusign, you need to tell Command what folder those documents are in when you're looking in Docusign. And even though there's only one folder, you still have to press this button, select, and then choose Room Docs. Because if you don't, notice down here, when I go to try and select the document, I'm clicking on that select drop down there, and it's not lighting up. And I do get phone calls and emails about this saying, Robert, Docusign is broken or Command is broken. I can't click the select button. I can't get my documents to transfer from Docusign. And all it is you need to go up to that working folder option at the top here and click select and tell the system that all of your documents are either in the Room Docs folder or if you've created hierarchy, where to look. So I'll choose Room Docs. And all of the select drop downs are now lit up. They're all ready to go. But check it out. Even though I'm doing this, I don't see any options for documents. Now, let me explain this because you're probably not going to encounter this where you go into Docusign, you do the thing you need to do, and then everything's all set to go, and then you come back to Command. You're probably not going to come back here and see no options. Why? Because most of you are not doing what I'm doing here, which is immediately from Docusign in an open tab in Command, going right in there and expecting it to be there. All I have to do to make this work for me is hit refresh for the Command page to look back at Docusign. Most of the time, you're going to be coming in here later after you've done the work, and you're going to come back and look at this. So in my case, I just have to refresh the page. If you do not see documents when you hit the select button and you're looking in the room documents in the folder, just refresh the page. Now that I've done that, I know that I'm looking for the wire fraud alert. So I'll come down here and I'll select wire fraud alert. Now, the beauty of what we've just done is that now we know that the wire fraud alert is a single document. It has been split from the other documents. And now I'm pulling in just the one. And this matters for compliance. I know you're thinking, well, why can't I just put the one document in there and have compliance look at the one document? It's all organized. Everything's in order. They need the documents to be separated into the individual folders or slots or spaces, whatever you want to call these things on the right-hand side. This is part of the compliance process, is making sure that they can go through their checklist and view things. Okay. Now, I do have those other documents in Docusign here. So I got the wire processing, I have the escrow check, the rental, and the wire fraud alert. I don't have them all in the same folder, so I'm not going to worry too much about going and bringing them all in. But I will say there's the wire fraud alert. And if I go down a little bit further, I think the escrow, actually, I think the escrow one is in the closed or under contract. I think it's under contract. Let's see where that is. Escrow check request form. There we go. So I'll just go and make sure that I select that all documents are in the room docs. And I'll come down here to my fancy schmancy escrow request and also escrow check request. And there we go. So now that is splitting documents inside of Docusign. But what happens if you are doing the same thing in Command and you want to split them in Command? Well, no problem. So I'm going to use the brokerage relationship form slot. I don't have a brokerage relationship form. This isn't about matching the document. This is about showing you how we can split documents inside of Command. So to do that, the first thing that I need to do is get the document into Command. So if I come up here to attach files from, I'm going to bring it in from my computer, because often, this is the more often the scenario where you're bringing a document that is multiple pages and you're bringing it in from your desktop. And in doing so, I'm going to bring the same one that I brought in before. And you can see now I have this drag and drop your file here. And I'm doing that. I'm dropping a file, that same exact multi-page PDF that somebody sent me, in my little example, and I'm dropping it into the brokerage relationship disclosure form slot. And you're thinking, well, Robert, the brokerage relationship form isn't even one of the documents that you had in there. Shouldn't you put it into at least one of the places where it belongs? Well, you could do that. I've already used the wire fraud one, so I'm going to leave that where it is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take the one out of the wire fraud. I'm going to remove that. And I'm not going to use the slot here, but I am going to come over to the under contract. I'm going to take the other one that I put in there out as well. And the reason is because one of the cool things that you can do in Command when you're splitting documents is assign the split document or the partial document to the correct slot. So we'll do it all at once. So back to the listing documents folder, and I'm going to open up this combined document in Command, and it's going to open up here on the Command viewer. And if I click on the show pages up here in the left hand corner, when I do that, it's going to show me all of the pages on the left hand side, and there they are, just like we saw them when we were in Docusign. The difference is this is showing them in a kind of a vertical scroll, and so we can still get to them. And we have our page numbers 1 through 8. Now, you probably already saw it right here. Split, attach. Split the documents and attach them to the right slots in Command. That's what that says. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And it's going to say on the right-hand side, it was subtle. It wasn't a big change in the screen. But on the right-hand side, we have that same exact process that we used inside of Docusign, where it says attach pages to, where we can say, put this document in this slot once I split it. So the first one is the wire fraud alert. So I'm going to go ahead and say, all right, the first option is the wire fraud alert. So I'll put it in the wire fraud slot. And so I'm telling it where my first split is going to go, wire fraud. The name of the document, I can give it a new name here. So I'll come in here and I'll say that the new name of this document is wire fraud. Okay. So that's one document. There we go. That's one document down. And look over on the left-hand side. We got a little green number 1 indicator telling us, hey, there's your first one. And for the pages that you want to split, we'll put a number 1 there, and we're good to go, just like we did in Docusign. Now we're going to add or attach more pages. So I'll click attach, and it's going to say, okay, pick your next page. Where do you want that to go? And this one is going into the escrow wire policy. But you will notice that the escrow wire policy option is not available here because we started the split process from the listing folder. So the document that was sent to us contains documents for listing and for the closing folder and for the under contract folder. So it's not going to allow us to go to another folder and put that in there. So we're a little bit stuck with what are we going to do with this document? And this is one of the things that I don't like about Command's split tool, because in doing this, I essentially don't have the ability to split this document and put it in the right place. And that kind of sucks, to be honest with you. So for that purpose and for that very reason, I'm going to go ahead and show you the split as if I was in the same folder, but Docusign's split tool is more mature. This is only 2 months old. So, I've already given feedback to to Keller Williams down in Texas about this and told them, look, you guys, we want to be able to do this, but in order to do that, I either need to be able to go across the folders or at least put this thing someplace where I can get to it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just use, I'll use the brokerage relationship form as the slot because I can't move it to the other one. And this one is going to be page 2. Page 3 is, there's no place, again, for the rental on this one here. This is for a listing. So I'm going to go ahead and choose just designated agency. And I'll put in for the page numbers. I can go ahead and click page 3 and look at what happens over on the right. It adds page 3. And I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to select page 7. And it puts the same thing, 3 through 7 into that slot. And I'll put the document name. Actually, I didn't put the document name up here. We'll call this escrow. And I'll call this one the rental. Okay. And the last document that we want to split is the little check request. So that is page 8. So I'll put that in here. And I'll say that, again, I can't get to the check request because there's no slot for it on that page. So I'll just throw in the property disclosure for now. And so this is escrow check request. Okay, so that's all of the pages that are in my split. So I'll go ahead and say split and attached. What I do like is that it's going to take those documents, split them up, put them into the right folders, right slots within this one folder. So how do you do this if you have those multiple documents and they belong in multiple folders? Well, at the end of the day, the documents that are in here, you can't click on this and drag it over to another folder. You're going to have to just make sure that you do folder by folder. So if you had to go in and put that same multiple document PDF into another folder just to extract one, you can. But honestly, if you are working with multiple folders and you have documents that need to go into those, do the split in Docusign, because you saw that it's basically the same process, but now you have the pool in Docusign that you can pull to in Command to the right slots. All right. How does that feel so far? It's quite a bit of information just in 30 minutes there. Any questions on what we've covered to this point? And I will go ahead. Oh, we got some stuff going on. Wednesday, you got a question over there. Why are they called split documents? Okay, so when we have a document that is emailed to us, then sometimes people will scan multiple documents. So they're actually multiple individual documents that are compressed into one single file and then sent via email. So we're taking that one file with those multiple documents and splitting it apart so that we have them into individual documents. And yes, we want them as individual documents in Command. We do not want Command to have a document in one of these slots here that has 2 documents represented, because each slot is only for one document. And the document needs to be what's named here. So the exclusive listing agreement can only be that document. If compliance sees that there are multiple documents combined together in the document you load here, they're going to ask you to split it and put the two documents in the correct places, or multiple documents, depending on what you have there. Good question. All right, with that in mind, let me bring this little guy up here. There we go. Okay. Any questions from the room so far? Okay, good. So now that we have that, let's talk about combining the documents. So here's the thing about combining documents. If you are going to send someone multiple documents, okay, when you're in Docusign, you really don't have much choice here. If we click on all three of these, we can say that we can copy, we can move, we can email. We have this little button to combine. So if I had 3 documents that were signed, okay, now I know that I'm playing with scenarios here because without going to every possible situation. Here's your scenario for combining the documents together. You have a client that wants to receive a single file with all of the signed documents that they have. And they've said to you, they sent you an email, said, listen, you know what? I got all of these things all over my hard drive. Can I just get like a little packet from you for all the things that I have signed? Yes, you can. I can send you a single file that contains multiple documents that you have signed so that you have it in one file that you can keep on your desktop or your hard drive. And that way you don't have to worry about finding one of them. It will be your document packet. And I'll keep it real simple and just call it that. When you're in Docusign, if you just put a checkbox in any of the documents that you want to combine in the left-hand upper corner here, you will see that new combine option on the toolbar. So when you click the combine option, it's going to say, what is this new document? So I'm going to say complete transaction. So now it's going to contain all the documents, in my case, the 3. So the 3 documents there, and I can go ahead and click save. And when I do, it combines them back into one PDF. And when you look at that one PDF, and I'll show it to you in multiple page view, there is 3 documents. The second document has that 5 pages. So there is my combined document that, yes, I could split it back out. I could just run this thing around in circles forever. So combining is easy because all you're doing is taking and marking the ones that you want to combine into a single document. And once you have those multiple documents selected, you have the combine option on the toolbar. Okay. Combining is easy. Any questions on combining? Nothing much there. At this point, if you do want to send that document out, because remember, it's just a PDF at this point, you can mark that document and you can email that document. Where's my email? Archive, email right there. I can email this document out to whoever I want to receive it. Splitting, it's a little more challenging because you need to open up a window and select which documents are going which. Combining is nothing. You just put the documents together. Good so far? Heather, how you holding up?
This part I'm fine. I'm stuck back on after I do the drop down and pull my documents. I can't get to the Docusign tab without it sending me an email, and I have to go in through the email. I can't get in from command. So that's where I am.
You're talking about from command when you try to choose the Docusign dropdown?
So when I have a contact in there and I've gone to New Hampshire listing or New Hampshire buyer, and where it says attached files from, I can get the Docusign.
Yep.
And then in the working folder, it usually says room docs.
Yep.
Yep. I can't get into Docusign. I can't get into those documents.
When you're looking at my screen shows the word Docusign and shows room docs right above that, does it say go to transaction or start a transaction?
I can't remember because I'm not in that screen, but when
Okay.
I try to select what is up, it's different. So your February 8th video, I really watched that step by step, and I also have the Commander step by step packet. And when I get to that step, it doesn't match up with your video in the packet.
Do you have your machine there?
Yep, I'm on the computer, but I'm in your Zoom, but I am at
Okay.
the office today because I might have to rope Tristan or someone into helping me.
Well, no, no. What I can do for you is just really quickly, just click on the profile icon for in the top corner, and on the profile icon on your machine in Command.
Okay, but I'm not, if I get out of the Zoom, do I need to get out of Zoom to do that? 'Cause I'm
No,
not
no,
in.
you can open up your Chrome browser right on top of Zoom, and when you're done, you can close Chrome.
Okay, how do I minimize Zoom so I can, I don't want to
Does,
leave the
are you on a
meeting.
PC or Mac?
Mac.
Okay, so on a Mac, what you can do is just take the corner of Zoom and just like when move your mouse over the very corner of Zoom, and it'll turn into a double-headed arrow, and you can squeeze it down.
Um, okay, so I have a toolbar at the top, meeting, view, edit. Let me tell you, I'm a real problem child when it comes to technology.
All right, let's do this then.
I'm your worst nightmare.
No worries, no worries. Let's do this then. Let's plan on getting together. Stick around after the session.
Okay,
Okay, stick around after the session.
perfect.
But while I get you squared away.
Thank you.
Okay, and you're also, by the way, I just saw your comment. Many listing agents want one PDF also when there are multiple offers. There you go. So great example. Another one to make it work for you. Okay, so that aside from what we're going to take a look at in a moment, Heather, that takes care of the splitting and combining process. Now, the other part of today, and we've got about 20 minutes, so I've got plenty of time to show you this. This one is a complete shift from what we're talking about. It's a different topic. So we have two topics today, splitting and combining. That's done. And we're going to talk about a new topic. And that new topic, it's called in-person signing. And so what this is, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come back into my room here, and I'm going to select all of these PDFs. I'm going to select all those PDFs. I'm going to throw them away. Okay, I'm going to start with a fresh blank room here. Okay. When you have a client that is not tech savvy, but you want and they want to sign electronically, you don't want to have printouts of documents running around, which, by the way, the whole purpose of using DocuSign is to omit paper and to have it all electronic, all digital, so that you have records logged in certification processes, and you don't have to worry about versions. You're all looking at the same version. So you may have a situation where somebody will say, yes, I'm willing to sell electronic, but I'm not very good at it. Fine. Let me bring my computer to you, and I'll sit down at the coffee table or the kitchen table with you, and I will put the computer in front of you, and I will guide you through the signing process with me there so that you can check off the boxes, do all the things that you need to do, and I will assist you so that you feel confident that you're getting the document done right, and then we'll sign it electronically. That is in-person signing. So to do this, we're actually going to be using DocuSign, the Rooms version, which is the real estate tool in DocuSign. And we're going to be using the other side of DocuSign. You might be thinking to yourself, what do you mean other side of DocuSign? Well, let me show you what the other side of DocuSign is. My focus with these classes is always to show you DocuSign Rooms, which is tied to Command for real estate. So DocuSign Rooms is exclusively a real estate tool. If you were to go to docusign.com and try to sign up without a real estate license and without belonging to a brokerage, you're not getting into DocuSign Rooms. You don't have this tool. What you have is this, and it's called e-signature. This is DocuSign's public facing tool. And so if you go to docusign.com, this is what you get. Now, you as a real estate agent, you actually have both. You have one login for either one, and you can flip between them at any time. You can switch to Rooms by clicking your profile icon. switch to e-signature. You can bounce back and forth because you have 2 subscriptions. So DocuSign Rooms is where we prepare the document for in-person signing. DocuSign e-signature is where we start when we're in that person's home, and that's what we use to sign it because they don't know anything about rooms. They don't need to see it. We just need them to work through it as a signature process. Okay, so recap. 2 parts to DocuSign: DocuSign Rooms and DocuSign e-signature. In order to do in-person signing, we're going to use both, and we're going to start in Rooms. So I'm going to go back to Rooms. And in Rooms, I'm going to go ahead and select the room that I was just working in. And here is my room. And in the documents area, there are no documents right now. I'm keeping it super simple. We're going to just do one because we don't need more than that for the demonstration. What do we need? Well, we don't need a DocuSign. We don't need a PDF. We need a DocuSign form. So we're going to click Add, and we're going to add a DocuSign form. Those are the ones that I showed you in the beginning that I actually deleted. And let's say that we're going to do for the NHAR, we're going to do a brokerage. Actually, I'll do 2 of them. We're going to do a brokerage relationship form, and we're going to go with a disclosure. Okay. And we're going to do a, let's see, we're going to do a property disclosure. There we go. New Hampshire property disclosure residential only, because this particular document has a lot of fields on it for the seller to sign. So it's a property disclosure form for residential only. And this is why in-person signing can be so valuable, because you can walk them through and have them check the boxes, fill in the blanks, and sign it all at the same time while you're holding their hand. So I'm going to add those 2 documents to this room. So here's the documents: brokerage relationship form and the property disclosure form. Now, they might not be, something that you would sign at the same setting, but I'm going to do 2 documents so that you can see what it looks like. Now, so in order to get the forms, so Natasha's asking a question. They are not segregated to NH listing and NH buyer. That is correct, Natasha. Natasha online is asking, when you're going into the add documents folder here, you have in the NHAR, New Hampshire Association of Realtors, if you're looking for a buyer form or if you're looking for a seller form, they're going to be in here. However, Natasha, there are 2 groups that have been created for you by Keller Williams here. One is a New Hampshire buyer template folder with the New Hampshire forms, and one is a listing residential with the listing forms. So they are kind of separated, but not all of the forms are in these 2 areas. You may have to find another form that you need for a transaction in the master folder of all NHAR forms. So keep that in mind, so that they are separated a little bit here with the New Hampshire buyer and listing. But here's a trick for you, Natasha. If you go down to the NHAR forms here, and if you just type in the word buyer, any forms that are buyer related are going to be here. So that's going to limit your buyer folders or your buyer documents. Now, if the document does not contain the word buyer in the title, you're not going to see it. So buyer is part of something that you would use as the search. So listing, we use the listing term here to search for that. So we can do a couple of ways to work that. Okay. So some tools there to kind of make that work for you. Good question. All right, so we have these 2 forms. So I'm going to go ahead and select these 2 forms by putting these 2 together. Now, here's where we begin the literally step-by-step to build the packet that we're going to take to that person's table and have them sign. So number 1, we put the forms in an envelope, same as we always do. Nothing's going to change. Number 2, we seal the envelope up and we put it on hold. We save it as a draft. Number 3, we drive up wherever we're going. We sit down at the kitchen table and we open up e-signature, and we open up that drafted document that is automatically in e-signature. And then we choose in-person signing. 5 steps. Normal, create the envelope, seal it up and put it as draft, drive up to where we need to be, open up e-signature, and have them sign in person. That's the major steps. Let's go through it. So I'll take these two documents, create envelope. And all of this, by the way, I'm going to go through the first part of this quickly because the envelope process does not change from anything. I've told everyone that I've worked with, you always give your envelope a name. So this is going to be Jackie in-person signing. Okay. Why? Because this is what we're going to look for in e-signature as the label for what we're going to open when we're actually sitting at the kitchen table. Okay. Very important to name your envelope so that you can find it. We're going to add recipients as normal. These are Docusign forms. So I'll go ahead and add my seller 1 and my, I don't need an agent because I'm not signing any of the documents. So just seller 1. So I'll click, oh, whoops, I forgot to put the person in there. What an idiot. See, this is me clicking too fast. So pre-tagged pre-tagged roles. Seller 1 is Jackie Astuto. There she is. She's on the document. We only have the seller 1. It puts Jackie in here. Now remember, she needs to sign it. We're good to go. We can go ahead and click on next here just to verify what's on the document for us. And we can always verify that the field's in the right place. And I recommend this strongly. So we'll go in, we'll look at the documents in question, and we'll make sure that it's exactly what we need. Where there's the property disclosure with all the fields. And then just checking it, right? Making sure that it's got all the spots that we need. Great. Don't hit send because you're not sending it. You're going to come over here to actions and you're going to hit save and close. That's where you deviate from the normal process. So everything's normal right to this point. Instead of hitting send, save and close. That creates the draft. You're done. So it's not hard. It's just remembering not to hit send. Now that we've done that, there is Jackie in-person signing as my draft. So now I drive up, doop-a-doop-a-doo, I leave Docusign, everything's fine. And then I get to that person's kitchen table and I log into Docusign. Now, if I've logged into Rooms, then all I come up here and do is switch to e-signature. If I haven't logged into Rooms, I can actually go right to Docusign.com and it will allow me to log in. And I'm going to end up in e-signature. So if you do that in front of your client, Docusign.com, right? Great. This is exactly what we saw. So now Rooms is over here. E-signature is right here. So now in e-signature, we have basically all these little things here. We don't need to worry about anything on the top, the main part of the screen. We're just going to go up top to manage. We click manage, and on the left-hand side, we have all of our envelopes, specifically in the inbox, in-person signing. Okay, actually, I'm take it back. Where I want is my drafts. I said inbox. Drafts. I go to my drafts. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's see. This is February 22nd. There we go. So when I click the continue option, I can either save it as a template or delete, or I can open this little guy up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on continue to open it up. And it shows the two documents right here. And in the for the option for getting them to do in-person signing here, we know that they need a signature. It's just like in regular DocuSign. When you click continue here, it's going to bring up that room. And over here, where is it? Where's my thing? Yeah, that's... I want my little button. Is it back one more? Where is it? No, this is it. Continue. Yeah. That's good. Everything's good. Yeah, next. Okay, now it's... What, did they change something? They didn't change it, did they? Continue. My button was right here before. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. All right. I knew it was on this page. This is how often I end up. Remember, I was telling you that sometimes I never get here. So here's what's happening. When you go continue, I'll go back so that we can reset that, and I'll even edit it out. So in your drafts, when you see the please DocuSign, go ahead and click continue. It takes you into the envelope as if you were back in good old fashioned DocuSign rooms. And where it says needs to sign, the drop down there has the in-person signer. So Jackie Studo's already loaded in here and ready to go. And the needs to sign is where we choose in-person signer. So when you do this, it shifts the screen around and it's going to say, okay, so we're going to be doing an in-person signing. All right. When we do an in-person signing and we click next, it requires a host name. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even put my host name in here. Robert Vincent. So who is going to be the host of the session? Me. Jackie is going to be signing it. In-person signer. I'm the host. So I click next, and here we get, send. There we go. Everything's normal. Now we hit send, and instead of it being sent via email, on our screen, we get a sign now option. So I'll go ahead and click sign now. And when I choose sign now, the screen is now kind of like switched into a much more simplified interface so that when we're doing this in front of our clients, we're not confusing them with 1,000 different things and all this mumbo jumbo. So Robert has assigned you as the host. Robert, I assigned myself as the host for an in-person signing session for Jackie Astudo. So after you hit start, you're going to pass the control to the signer and ask them to enter any authentication, which is, just basically allowing them to get in, and then help them sign, and then retake the computer, and then complete the transaction. So if I turn this computer around to you and I said, okay, here we go, I'm going to go ahead and hit start. So you want to do it? Yep. Let's go ahead and sign it. Continue. So now, again, this would be exactly the same if you had sent this to them via email, but you're sitting in front of them now. And it says, please review and act on these documents. Robert has sent you these documents. So Mr. Smith or Mrs. Astudo, would you like to do this? Yes, I agree to the electronic signature process. You continue. Here is exactly the same as if they had received it during email, through an email. So you can hit start and walk them through. Okay, so we need you to go ahead and initial this section here. All right, great. We'll take that initial and adopt it, and we're good to go. We'll go ahead and sign this here, and we're good to go. Now, one of the things that I'm doing here is all of the fields that were for them to fill out were bypassed in lieu of the signature. So you'll need to go back and go through each of these radio buttons, and you can see now everything is lit up for them to sign. So the type of system, public, let's say we have a pump, no. So you can go through all of these fields, date of installation, 111, we'll say 11. So every field is editable now because you're sitting in front of that person. You're doing it with them. So I'm not obviously going to sign everything here. We're just going to go through a couple fields and we can type in whatever we need. And you can walk them through this line by line for every question. Once it's done, then you click finish. Now you can say, yes, give me an email copy of it, but you're going to get one anyway. Click continue. Now it says pass control back to Robert, who is the host. Okay. You pass it back and the document is going to come back signed, sealed, and delivers. Now you are looking at your account again. All right. So DocuSign is done. We're all set. So we can go ahead and close that and go back to our DocuSign rooms. And when we refresh that, check it out. It's going to take a moment because Jackie signed it and signs in person. Let's just see how long it takes to get through. There it is. Took a few clicks. There we go. Seller one is signed in person. The document is done. It's got a completed, and the signed version is back inside of DocuSign, which now we can take this signed copy and put it in Command. So at the end of the day, when you are creating and doing something for in-person signing, just save it as a draft and go into e-signature once you arrive there and walk through the process that I've shown you here, selecting in-person signing from the name of the person in the envelope that you've created, and pass the computer to the person and sign it. It's pretty simple in terms of actually doing it. It's just those extra steps of saving it as a draft and remembering to switch over to e-signature to be able to access it. Okay. All right. So we've come to the end of this morning's one here. Any questions from Heather or from anybody online? It looks like we're good over there. No? Okay. All right. So at 1 o'clock, we're going to be doing Command 101. And today we're going to be talking about the Documents tab and the commissions. We're going to be going through the documents and commissions to get you guys so that you can submit for getting paid. And we had Tristan on this morning, who was kind enough to talk about some of the problems that people encounter when they're trying to work inside of Command, getting their commissions squared away. So we'll see you back here in an hour. Heather, stick around. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to everybody outside here. And we'll see you guys back in the Zoom room at 1 and on Facebook at 1. See you in a few.